Hey guys, have you ever read something and you really just didn't know what to say about it afterwards? Like, it kind of just sucked all of the energy out of the room, and you're kind of just left with this void in your life now. And you're just wondering what your life is about. That's what happens when I read this comic book. So, for those of you that don't know, I reviewed issue one because I figured it'd be a cringe volcano, and it was. And then I saw issue two, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta get that." It's by Black Crown. It's called Kid Lobotomy. It's just as stupid as you think it is. This is issue number two, and there's the cover here, and nothing is going to make sense to you. Now, I'm going to do this number one Marmaduke fan style. I'm going to talk about this comic, and I'm going to do my hands like this right here, and I'm going to flip around, and I'm going to go crazy with my hands, just like Marmaduke. This is for you. Yeah, I watched this video that he did on my review of Kid Lobotomy number one, where he was talking about Dada, which is like this psychedelic art style that should never happen, and he kept moving his hands like very vibrantly and excitedly, and lots of emotion in his hands. But anyway, so this is issue number two. We start out, and I flipped open this page, and I saw those thought bubbles, and I was like, "Oh God, what are we getting into here?" But so basically, this guy is a washed-up writer. See his sign, washed-up writer. And, he looks like he's about to go get some Starbucks because he's got his little ironic beard. And this chick walks by and drops a key in his hat. And so as she's walking by, he picks up the key, and he thinks it'd be a good idea just to use the key and pretend it was his. Okay? And what you're going to realize about this book is nobody in this book is a good person. Their family is bad. Nobody is good. So basically she's talking to her mom on the phone here, and it says, "Hey, I'm here, Mom, my first real job. The sweets, well, it isn't exactly the Mandarin Oriental. Remember the happy hours we spent there before you blew all your money on Eurotrash gigolos?" And then the mom's like, "Oh, gotta go, love you, click." It's like, oh no. So then we get this big open page here of the title page. And what really freaked me out was, look at this guy back here. What is he doing there? That's creepy. And it never explains who it is. And so there's the guy that works the counter. He's like, "Hey, come in." It's written by Peter Milligan, art and cover by Tess Fowler. That's all you need to know. And then the next page is another one of these shots. It's a double page here. It's supposed to be them talking and getting on the elevator, and basically she says, or he says, "You have the key I sent you, right?" And she says, "No, I dropped it," because the other guy picked it up. She goes, "Oh," he said, "Oh, it's fine, just come with me." So they go in there, and they're going down the elevator. Here you see this, and there's this weird stuff at the bottom, like some kind of tentacles. And so then she just poof disappears. And he says, "Poor innocent girl. I give her 2 days max." And then she just kind of pops up in this room. I guess that's supposed to be her shadow, but it looks like somebody standing there instead of her, which is kind of weird and freaky. And then she sees the psychopath around the corner from the first issue that cut Kid Lobotomy's throat. And now we're getting to the scene with Kid Lobotomy. And Kid Lobotomy's standing over Kid Lobotomy, looking at his throat cut, and it's the weirdest thing. And he says, "I know it's confusing, but think what it must be like for me." And so he's looking, and he figures out that this is actually the girl that he knows that's a shapeshifter in the hotel, and she had turned into him to do some of his work for him to make it easier on him. We're in the hotel, and he says, "I'm sorry, blah blah blah." And what's so weird is in the last issue, she kept turning into his sister for him to have his weird incestuous fantasies. Yes. So he's talking to her, and he says, "Hey, go ahead and turn back into yourself. Maybe that'll help you fix your throat." And it turns her into a weird tree ant creature. Yep. So then we cut back to the writer. He has now gotten there to the hotel. He sees the girl drawing on the side of the wall there. She's an artist. I guess she's doing art for the hotel. I guess that's her job. It doesn't really explain anything. And so he's talking to the guy at the desk, and he says, between me and you, I thought your book was overrated. Well, between me and you, so did I. Now check me into the hotel. So he just takes the key, and then here's Kid Lobotomy now. He's fine now. He's just like, hey, what's going on? I mean, shouldn't he be helping that chick that was like a weird tree creature that's got her throat slit? And so then he checks in the hotel. It's got this weird hole in the wall, and he's like, this is a little bit too fancy for me. Sticks his head in the wall. There's Chip Zdarsky. He sticks his head in the wall, and he sees this weird sadistic thing going on here. And then all of a sudden, and I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the writer because he's got his shirt on here. It says Milligan. That's the guy's name, 89 tour. I guess that's when he was born. And so then he's getting attacked by some weird tentacle things for no reason. And then the girl that is now working at the hotel just walks in, says, hey, I'm supposed to do my job with art here, blah, 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 throws art on the wall, and it shows up like this. And he goes, wow, you're pretty good. And she's like, oh, thanks. This is really weird, guys. And so then it shows Kid Lobotomy, and he's totally happy. He's smiling. He's got his little brain zapper gun from the first issue. And he's going to fix, what's her name now? And he says, take the coat hammer and stick it in her ear. Oh, my God, what? And he goes, I'm going to use this gun on her. So then he zaps himself. They take the coat hanger, jam it in her ear. Oh, man, this is weird and sadistic. And then somehow he's able to transfer her pain and everything to his body. It doesn't really explain how, but now she's fine. And now he's seen a giant cockroach in his head. And as she's starting to slowly turn back to normal, he leaves because he's starting to change into an ugly creature like a big cockroach. Yep. There's another lady that works for the hotel. She says, leave me alone, you monster. Yep, he does look like a monster. And then he's having, we have this cutscene here where his sister and his stepdad is like arguing about bills and reports and stuff. She runs off all upset. We don't really mention that again. And then we cut to this weird art scene here. I don't really know what's going on. Now the girl has a cockroach on the side of her face. I guess she drew. I'm not really sure. Now they're holding hands, and he says, it did something to me too, but what? This way, some strange men have appeared in my room. And so then she takes him in the room, and there's these weird things in the room. And she said, I thought maybe I was seeing things. They call themselves Little Albert. There was a vile experiment conducted on poor baby Albert back in the 1920s. And so then he runs out, and he's starting to turn more into the creature. It's kind of like The Fly at this point. It reminds me a lot of The Fly. And then he walks into this room, and he sees this weird, he sees basically his sister riding a horse in this weird kind of fantasy deal. And then he's starting to change more and more into the creature at this point. That's when his sister rides up in the hotel on a horse. Yep, on an actual horse. And she says, it seems my poor brother has gone insane and missing. So I've persuaded Big Daddy to put me in charge. Kid only disappeared 4 hours ago. Isn't this a little premature? She says, zip it, hipster boy. This hotel has helped drive my little brother nuts. So there are going to be some changes. First off, I'm getting exterminators to get rid of all the horrible roaches. And yes, haircut, I'm talking about your brother. So who's his brother? I don't understand. So then we get this little article page here, and we get these character pages. They spent a lot of time on this because they got these character pages here. Then they have these advertisements right here, these articles that are basically like prop articles to, advertise for the book. So they took all of this time on this book for it to just be weird garbage. Like, I feel like it was, I feel like it was a Sunshine of an Endless Mind or whatever it was called, or you know that movie where the guy lives in the apartment and he doesn't know if he's going crazy, and then the cockroaches start talking to him and they're like singing and dancing. It was an older movie. That kind of reminds me of that. Or some of those weird 80s psychedelic movies that had to do with Pink Floyd's The Wall. That's what it kind of reminds me of. This is some weird stuff here. Like, you can't even, nothing has any purpose. Nothing has any merit or definite action, because it's just going to change. You know what I mean? So I don't know about that, guys. This is just weird. That's all I got to say about that. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know what you think about the review. And have a great day, guys. Underground Geek out.